What if I told you that the family car sitting in your grandfather's driveway, the one loaded with grocery bags and screaming kids in the back seat, could have blown the doors off a Mustang at a stoplight? It sounds impossible. A station wagon, the most boring, most practical, most unashamedly uncool vehicle Detroit ever built, humiliating a real muscle car in a straight line. But in the 1960s, this was not a rumor, and it was not an exaggeration. It actually happened again and again in dealership parking lots all across America. Detroit was fighting a horsepower war so intense, so completely out of control, that it forgot where to stop. Engineers were not just putting big engines into coupes and convertibles. They were shoving the exact same race-bred, drag strip tested, big block monsters under the hoods of 9-passenger family wagons with fake wood paneling on the sides. Today we are going to look at 7 of these machines. 7 American station wagons from the 1960s that were fast enough, violent enough, and quick enough off the line to outrun the muscle cars people actually feared. Some of these wagons will surprise you. One of them in particular is going to sound completely fake until you hear the numbers. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at a station wagon the same way again. So sit back, because this is the story of Detroit's most insane secret weapon. Let's start with 1962, and one of the most legendary engines to ever come out of Chevrolet. That year, something happened that perfectly captures just how reckless Detroit had become. Chevrolet took the exact engine that was building its reputation on the drag strips, the engine that terrified every other manufacturer in the country, and it allowed that same engine to be dropped into a car built to carry 9 people to church on Sunday. We are talking about the legendary 409 Turbo Fire, and not the mild, watered-down version either. The most powerful configuration used 2 4-barrel Carter carburetors, an 11-to-1 compression ratio, and solid lifters to produce exactly 409 horsepower, along with 420 pound-feet of torque. The number was so perfect, it almost seemed invented. 409 cubic inches producing 409 horsepower. This engine option cost around $484 extra, and it could be paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, which meant a real driver, someone who actually knew how to work a clutch, could extract every last ounce of violence this engine had to offer. And the result was extraordinary. With that 4-speed gearbox, performance simulations for the Impala wagon estimate approximately 7.7 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour. Top speed could reach somewhere between 130 and 134 miles per hour, depending mainly on the final drive ratio installed. Now stop and actually picture this for a second. This is 1962. From the outside, you're looking at an enormous Chevrolet station wagon, measuring roughly 17.5 feet long, available with 6 or 9 seats, with big bench seating and enough room to swallow an entire family's luggage for a 2-week vacation. Then an empty stretch of road appears. First gear, second gear, third gear. Both carburetors slam open at once, and that same family wagon rockets past 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds, and just keeps pulling past 100, past 120, closing in on 134. It did not need special badges. It did not need to look like a race car. It just needed an open road and a driver brave enough to find out what it could really do. Now let's jump ahead to 1963, because this next machine is not really a family wagon at all, even though it wears the disguise of one perfectly. This is the Pontiac Tempest Super Duty wagon, and unlike everything else on this list, this car was never actually built to take kids on vacation. Pontiac constructed only 6 of these, and the objective behind them was far more serious than school runs and grocery trips. The goal was to humiliate the competition on the drag strip, plain and simple. By late 1962, General Motors was preparing to officially ban factory involvement in racing altogether, and Pontiac's engineers knew their window was closing fast, so they did something almost reckless. They took the compact Tempest platform and stuffed in the brutal 421 Super Duty engine, Pontiac's most advanced competition power plant at the time. 2 4-barrel Carter carburetors, an aluminum bathtub intake manifold, forged pistons, and a 12-to-1 compression ratio, built directly from everything Pontiac had learned racing in NASCAR and NHRA competition. The official rating was 405 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque, numbers that were simply unheard of for anything wearing a station wagon body. The result was a station wagon that could cover the quarter mile in just over 12 seconds at more than 115 miles per hour. An absolutely savage pace for 1963, a time when most sports cars could not dream of numbers like that. Estimates place 0 to 60 at around 4.8 seconds. 4.8 seconds in a station wagon in 1963. Top speed is genuinely difficult to pin down here, because this thing was not geared for high-speed cruising. It was geared purely to launch and disappear off the line. But with its competition setup, something around 124 miles per hour is a realistic ceiling, and here's the part that really gets me. Pontiac painted these wagons a plain cameo white and slapped ordinary-looking 326 badges on the grille, disguising them as harmless, low-powered family Tempests. So imagine pulling up next to one of these at a stoplight in 1963, glancing over, seeing what looks like an unassuming grocery getter, and having absolutely no idea that hiding underneath those fake badges was a competition-prepared engine capable of embarrassing some of the fastest cars on the planet. If you thought that was wild, wait until you hear what's coming next, because this next wagon somehow makes even that sound tame, moving into 1968, and this next one might be my personal favorite on this entire list, because of just how absurd the whole situation was. Picture walking into a Chevrolet dealership in 1968, looking for a big, practical wagon to haul your family around, and somehow walking out with nearly 2 tons of automobile powered by the same kind of big block engine that turned Chevrolet's performance cars into feared machines on the street. The Caprice Custom could hide a genuine monster under that long hood, the 427 turbojet fed by a 4-barrel carburetor, producing 385 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. And here is the detail that really makes this insane. Chevrolet actually allowed this engine to be paired with a 4-speed manual transmission in a full-size, 9-passenger station wagon. Just think about how ridiculous that combination really is. This body stretched close to 17.8 feet long, could seat up to 9 passengers, and weighed approximately 4,396 pounds empty. Visually, it looked exactly like what it was supposed to be, a large, elegant, comfortable wagon that a well-off family would drive across several states on summer vacation. But all it took was dropping down a gear, and its entire personality would change in an instant. With the 427 and that 4-speed manual, performance estimates place 0 to 60 at around 7.1 seconds, and some simulations bring that number down as low as 6.7 seconds. Read that again. A 9-passenger station wagon capable of leaving a traffic light with the kind of urgency that only a few years earlier would have seemed appropriate for a dedicated sports car. Top speed was equally ridiculous, with the big Chevrolet capable of approaching 130 miles per hour, depending on the transmission and rear differential gearing chosen. And the best part of the entire story is that from the outside, practically nobody had any reason to suspect a thing. No aggressive scoops, no racing stripes, no extravagant decoration of any kind. It carried groceries, luggage, and children all week long, completely unassuming, and then on the weekend, it could send 385 horsepower straight to the rear axle whenever the driver felt like it. So here's a question worth thinking about for a second. If you had the money back then, would you actually choose a Caprice 427 as your daily family wagon, knowing it could embarrass sports cars? Or would you rather put that same money into a true 2-door muscle car and just accept being slower on the family trips? Let me know what you would have picked, because this next car takes that same idea and pushes it even further into pure luxury territory. Let's talk about 1967 now, and specifically the Chrysler Town & Country, because the most incredible thing about this car was never really the horsepower number itself. It was the price tag attached to unlocking it. Turning this enormous family wagon into a genuine performance machine cost Chrysler buyers only $198.35 extra. That was the total price of the 440 TNT package back in 1967. And this was not simply a case of bolting on a bigger carburetor and calling it a day. Chrysler engineers went in and added a more aggressive camshaft, high-flow exhaust manifolds, and a genuine dual exhaust system, transforming the already gigantic 440 cubic inch V8 into an engine producing 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. This was, without question, the single most powerful configuration available for the Town & Country that entire model year. Now try to reconcile that engine with the car surrounding it. The Town & Country measured approximately 18.3 feet in length, weighed close to 4,800 pounds, and could be optioned with 3 full rows of seating. Its entire reason for existing was to haul children, luggage, and everything a family needed to cross the United States on a summer road trip. But hidden beneath that accelerator pedal was more torque than you would find in many of the actual muscle cars that headline million-dollar auctions today. And that combination was its true secret talent. Paired with the smooth 3-speed TorqueFlite automatic transmission, estimates place 0 to 60 miles per hour at around 8.3 seconds, the quarter mile at approximately 15.8 seconds, and a top speed near 127 miles per hour. These are not official figures pulled from some period road test. They are modern calculations based on the car's original factory configuration, but they perfectly demonstrate exactly what this combination was capable of on an open road. From behind the wheel, all it took was watching that speedometer needle sweep past 125 miles per hour to understand that Chrysler had built something far more absurd than anyone expected. A family house on wheels with a genuine high-performance big block, quietly hidden under the hood the entire time. And if you're starting to think you've already heard the wildest one on this list, hold on, because we're only halfway there, and things are about to get even more extreme. Now let's head to 1967 again, but over at Pontiac, for a wagon that at first glance is difficult to imagine as anything sporty whatsoever. More than 18 feet of bodywork, 3 full rows of seating, and room for 9 passengers total. This is the Bonneville Custom Safari, and in 1967, Pontiac allowed this massive family hauler to be transformed into something dangerously close to an actual muscle car. That year, the older 421 engine was retired, and the new 428 V8 took its place. And we are talking specifically about the wildest configuration Pontiac offered, the 428 HO Quadra Power. This engine was available across Pontiac's full-size lineup and produced 376 horsepower along with 462 pound-feet of torque, practically identical to the high-performance specification found in the genuinely fierce Catalina 2+2. Now picture that same engine pushing a station wagon designed to carry the kids, the luggage, and practically half the contents of the family home. There are not many surviving instrumented period tests of a Bonneville Safari specifically equipped with this engine, so the numbers here should be treated as careful estimates. But with the OSHO's 376 horsepower, a properly configured example could run 0 to 60 in around 7.2 to 7.4 seconds, while maintaining a top speed close to 127 miles per hour. And here's something even more interesting. The Bonneville Safari was exclusively a 9-passenger wagon, featuring a power-operated rear window and an interior noticeably more luxurious than the more basic Safari trims below it. Pontiac sold only 6,771 units in 1967, and buyers could even option front disc brakes, rally wheels, and an 8-track stereo player. This was quite literally an enormous American living room on wheels, one that happened to be capable of traveling at around 125 miles per hour when the driver felt like proving a point. And that's still not the most surprising engine swap Detroit pulled off this decade, because our next wagon takes a completely different, almost sneaky approach to hiding its true power. Let's move to 1969 now, and clear up a small trap that still confuses plenty of enthusiasts, even today. There was a Coronet 440 station wagon from Dodge, but that number 440 did not mean it carried the legendary 440 Magnum engine. 440 was simply the name of that trim level, nothing more. And although it would have been fantastic to find 375 horsepower hiding under the hood of this family wagon, Dodge reserved the actual 440 Magnum for dedicated performance models, like the Coronet R/T. But in the wagon lineup, the genuinely interesting choice was the 4-barrel 383 cubic inch V8, a real big block producing 330 horsepower and 425 pound-feet of torque. Dodge's own 1969 sales catalog listed this 4-barrel 383 as an available option on ordinary Coronets, while engines like the Hemi remained locked to the performance-focused models only. But 330 horsepower was still an absurd amount of power for a car that could be configured with 3 full rows of seating. Picture an ordinary Saturday afternoon in 1969. Groceries piled in the back, kids filling that enormous cabin, and ahead of you, a completely unremarkable-looking hood that gave away no special clues whatsoever. Then you find an open stretch of road, drop the transmission down a gear, and all 4 barrels of that carburetor snap wide open. The entire personality of the car changes instantly, helped along by dual exhaust and the genuinely rare option of a 4-speed manual transmission. Estimates place the Coronet 440 wagon at around 7.1 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour, with a theoretical top speed close to 129 miles per hour. So here's a question for the comments below. What would you have chosen back in 1969, a flashy Coronet Super B to have fun with on weekends, or this quiet Coronet 383 wagon that could carry your entire family and still catch half the world completely off guard at a traffic light? Because sometimes, the best muscle car in Detroit was precisely the one nobody ever recognized as one. I know we've covered a lot of ground already, but stay with me, because I saved one of the most outrageous examples for last, and it belongs to a car most people only remember for its wood paneling and its folding tailgate. Finally, let's close things out in 1969 with Ford and one of the ultimate symbols of the American family road trip. That year, Ford decided to give this icon a 7-liter heart. The LTD Country Squire had drifted even closer into full LTD territory by this point, wearing an enormous body, a sophisticated front end with hidden headlights, simulated wood side paneling running the entire length of the car, and enough interior space to carry up to 9 passengers comfortably. On paper, it looked like the perfect vehicle for crossing the entire country, with the whole family packed inside. But buried on the options list was one particularly interesting box waiting to be checked: the new 4-barrel, 429 cubic inch V8, producing 360 horsepower and an enormous 480 pound-feet of torque. This was the single most powerful engine available in the entire LTD Country Squire lineup, and it was paired with the robust 3-speed C6 automatic transmission. The result was almost comical when you actually think about it. We are talking about a wagon measuring approximately 18.2 feet in length and weighing more than 4,400 pounds, that, according to estimates based on its original factory configuration, could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 8.8 seconds and continue on to approximately 126 miles per hour. The quarter mile came in at around 16.2 seconds. And all of that performance was happening inside one of the single most recognizable, most stereotypically suburban family vehicles in all of America. At the rear, that famous tailgate could swing open to the side like a door or fold straight down, making it effortless to load luggage, bicycles, or practically anything a growing family might need for a summer trip. And that's really what makes this Country Squire so special. And honestly, such a perfect way to end this list. It never tried to look fast, not even for a second. In fact, it did the complete opposite on purpose. Fake wood paneling, 3 rows of seating, and the unmistakable look of a family vacation on the outside, but 360 horsepower and a massive 429 cubic inch engine waiting patiently under the hood the entire time. So there you have it, 7 American station wagons from the 1960s that had absolutely no business being this fast. And yet somehow all of them were. Detroit spent that entire decade locked in a horsepower war so intense that it completely lost sight of where a big engine did and did not belong, and honestly, we are all better off because of it. These were not flashy, obvious performance machines with scoops and stripes screaming for attention. They were quiet, unassuming family wagons hiding some of the most powerful engines Detroit had ever built, capable of humiliating dedicated sports cars and muscle cars alike whenever their drivers felt like proving a point. Now I want to know your opinion. Which one of these 7 wagons surprised you the absolute most? And if you actually had the money and the garage space back in the 1960s, which one of these would you have driven home from the dealership? Drop your answer down in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and let me know if you want a part 2, because trust me, there are plenty more of these hidden monsters we haven't even talked about yet. And if this kind of insane Detroit engineering history is exactly your thing, go check out our other video right now, because you're absolutely not going to want to miss what's inside that one either. See you in the next one.